Hi guys, and welcome to Storytime. So it's Tuesday, which means it's story time. Now we're going to do something a little bit different this time because my stockpile of stories is running out, and I did suggest I was going to do this at some point. So I thought, what the hell? We'll burn through some of these very quickly. Well, not quickly. I might do them weekly, and that just allows you guys to start getting more stories into me. So if you have got a story and you'd like me to read it out, please do send them in, because I've been saying on social media and some of the forums that my stockpile of stories is getting a little bit low. So do send them in. Please keep sending them in. You can send them to me on Twitter at Indie Experiment. You can send them to me on Tumblr, which is Indie Experiment as well. You can send them to me on Facebook. You can send them to me on the WildStar-Roleplay forums, or Facebook, where I'm the Indie Experiment, or the WildStar official forums as well. There's a big post on there in Community Creations called Storytime, and you can send them there, and I'll pick them up and hopefully read them out. And yeah, it'll be brilliant. So here we go then. So we're going to do something a little bit different. Now this story is called Voyage of the Nomad. Hopefully, me saying that, some of you have already clicked where this one's from. This is one of the official backstories for WildStar, written by Pappy and the team. And it's all the official lore and stories of WildStar, so we're going to burn through a couple of these. But this is Voyage of the Nomad, so please do sit back and enjoy, guys. I will do my best to do this story some justice, because I really enjoy reading these. And here we go. Voyage of the Nomad, Part 1, Journey into the Unknown. From the glare filling his helmet, Captain Sanada figured he had 13 minutes before the exploding nebula over his shoulder baked him and the 400 people on the other side of the metre-thick vibranium hull to a crisp. On the upside, the view wasn't bad. "Cap," the first officer, Veska, sounded, as if she were right beside him, scaling the hull of the unpowered starship on the edge of space. "We need to hurry." "Crint!" He looked down at the tech officer far below him. The kid had no business being out here. A hard-working NG of farmer stock whose father had wept with pride at the Nomad's christening ceremony. But the repair drone was on the fritz again, and Shade was dead. Sanada had promised to take care of the kid, to whatever extent such terms even applied in deep space. "Now!" He joined the cable strung between his fingers, while simultaneously far below him Crint flipped the switch, diverting the emergency power back where it belonged before it could fry their power core. Nomad shuddered. Tongues of blue flame chugged from the boosters, silhouetting Crint's spindly outline against the brightness as he began clambering upwards. Sanada flicked the arc welder off. The panel slid shut. "Done," he said. "We're coming in." His luck had held again. As the Cassian civilization's first space travellers, to have even survived this long was a victory. Miraculously, it had been a mere year since the launch of their mission. In that time they'd seen more wonders than they'd dreamt possible in a single lifetime. Plasma-based organisms awed that meat-like beings such as humans could even exist, let alone master space travel. Volcanic eruptions severe enough to dent the ship's hull from orbit. Granite humanoids of consummate martial prowess. Massive dark matter worms that preyed on black holes. Machine intelligences that piloted worlds like dragsters. Jellyfish the size of whales that Nomad was thankfully too minuscule to entice. Entities that defied description, all fascinating, none sufficient. Sanada propelled himself along the rung set into the hull towards the hatchway. "Captain, stand by," said Science Officer Thetford in his other ear. For the Nomad's new science officer, this was an unusual utterance. "We're picking up an energy sig. It's curious. A cycling radiation bandwidth unlike anything we've run across. 10 degrees off your starboard." Sanada resisted the urge to look over his shoulder at the looming whirls of nebulae. "Show me in 10 minutes. He bunched his shoulders in preparation to leap aboard into the decompression chamber, yawning open beside him. "It's cycling over 1 billion ergs a second." Sanada froze. Part 2. noble ambitions. The Nomad's launch had been preceded by weeks of the most frenzied celebrations in the planet's history. Champagne parades, pastries of lissom angels, and parties galore. After centuries of internecine strife, unification had come to Cassus. All now strived under a single banner. No longer would the lives of precious scions be frittered away in corrosive fortune redistributions. The planet's wealth had been carved out. A galaxy of greater riches awaited. The first step was to survey these distant realms and assess their potential. Eager to enfold the myriad lifeforms in its firm embrace of entrepreneurial spirit, the Cassians brooked no expense or technological bottlenecks in making space exploration their new priority. There had been the usual false starts and occasional fatal growing pains of any expansion. More than a decade was spent debating whether to send a manned expedition at all, but in the end it was decided that interstellar relations were too critical to entrust to machines. Designing the Nomad itself took nearly a century. Selecting its crew took even longer. Those most curious about the wonders of the universe firsthand weren't necessarily graced from physiques conducive to prolonged existence in deep space, let alone conditions likely to be encountered on prospective planets. Personnel able to tolerate and function despite these rigours not only had to be trained, but bred over generations, then enhanced for everything from metabolic bone density to diplomatic relations. Sonada had insisted to be granted final veto power over all crew members. With decades of training and self-discipline at his back, he had considered himself impervious to forming sentimental attachments. Part 3. Condition Critical. Sonada switched to a private link. "A billion's not possible. That would be over the power of 1,000,000,000,000 supernovas, emitting every second. But the intervals are widening. If we wait, we'll lose it." Sonada extruded an antenna from his helmet, set its oscillation rate and scanned the wedge of starlight that the Nomad's vast sweeping curve was slowly devouring off to his right. Numerals flickered steadily across his HUD as he reran them twice. "Orders, sir," Thetford said in his ear. Sonada could tell from his tone that Thetford had done the calculations as well. "Far in excess of anything we've encountered." "We can relocate it once we're clear," Veska said sharply. "Too far," he said. "Sir, engines are still priming. Regardless, it's so far we're taking a one-way trip, assuming the G's don't tear us apart or it sizzles our instruments to a crisp." An imploring note had crept into her voice. "It's not worth it. Goran." He waited, she went on. "Our mission's to report back." She was right. But 1,000,000,000 ergs. He looked at the open hatchway. There was only room and time for a single decompression. He gazed down as Krint's hand groped for the rung inches beneath Sonada's ankle. The kid was grinning up at him, gap-toothed and relieved. The mission, Sonada thought, nothing else matters. As Krint's arm reached for the rung, Sonada kicked down, his foot crunching into Krint's faceplate. He glimpsed Krint's stunned look of horror and amazement. Then air hissed out, the youthful freckled face turned blue, and his body spun away off towards the nebula. Sonada glided into the hatchway and turned to watch it begin rolling shut. Even through his suit he felt Nomad throb with revving power. "Veska, I'm in, punch it!" "On it," she said flatly. She didn't ask about Krint, she didn't need to. Through the viewport he watched the tiny speck of Krint's body disappear amid glittering hurricanes of rock the size of continents hurtling inexorably towards Nomad. Then the engine screamed and Sonada was flung against the wall. The stars through the viewport lengthened into comet trails, like arrows he thought, bitterly charting his headlong descent. Then he blacked out and dreamed for the first of many, many times of Krint's terrified face. Okay guys, thank you very much for listening to Storytime this week. I hope you've enjoyed that. That will be the first of many of the official WildStar backstories and the lore that's put together by the fantastic team over at Carbine and the guys working on WildStar. So thank you very much for listening. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please do hit that subscribe button and keep up to date with all the story times that will hopefully be coming in the future, as well as hitting that hitting the like button, and why not share it with your friends, and feel free to comment, let me know what you think, and get involved. It'll be really good. If you are writing stories at the moment, do send them in to me, or if you've already written a story, get them sent in. Again, you can get hold of me on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, the official WildStar Forums, or the WildStar-Roleplay Forums. You can get hold of me on any of those and get your stories into me. They are greatly appreciated and the community loves them, so please, please, please keep them coming in. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.